Well, hello, hello. This is Cindy. This is the very last episode of my Tuesday broadcast. Starting in May, I'm going to be broadcasting only on Pay It Forward Friday. I just thank everybody who's been following me and been sharing that this event or this broadcast has been very successful, and I thank everybody for that. So, really quickly, if you are a small to medium sized business and you would like to have a stream just like this one, simply go to StreamYard.com. And if you'd like to comment today, go to StreamYard.com/Facebook. That way we could actually see your comments and post them here. So, a little bit about me. My name is Cindy Lee. I am the founder of Ask Cindy Connector Live. I love giving referrals. And so that's why I started this broadcast as a way to share what my friends are doing so I can connect them to my sphere of influence. So today I have my friend Kevin. He's been on the show before. So tell us all about your backstory for some of us who haven't been on the show.
I'm elderly, so there's a lot of story in there. Do you never notice how people tell their story? It's like maybe you could skip that detail because it's going a little long. Just know that I'm a middle-aged guy, single, have two adult children, and I have been a serial entrepreneur for most of my adult life. And at this point in time, I split my time between my life coaching, where I focus primarily on men and women with intimacy relationship challenges. People are going through transitions in their life. And then on my management consulting coaching side, on the business side, I work with women primarily on helping them take their ideas and turning them into business strategies and helping them build businesses. So that's kind of what I do. And at any point in time, I'm probably operating both sides of my brain, which is kind of fun. And that's what I do.
So let's go into our topic for today. So tell us a little bit more about what you're going through today for this broadcast.
So we're going to talk about the role of intuition in business, and primarily in with women in business. And so I have a question for you. You ready?
Here's just one second. I'm going to share the broadcast. And okay, go ahead.
So here's my question. Do you have good intuition? Does your intuition work for you?
Mm-hmm.
What does that look like for you when someone says you trust your intuition? What is that? Tell me about that for you.
For me, I just like to go with my gut.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually pretty on point.
Mm-hmm. So how do you know when you're going with your gut? Like or when you're not going with your gut? Tell me about that.
Oh, wow. I was not prepared for that question.
I know. So when something tells you have a little spidey sense that says, red flags, this isn't, there's something about this. What does that look like for you?
Oh, I think red flags are really important. Or like, say, for instance, when you meet somebody, like just say like in the business arena, if you're not really feeling I like to read energy. So a lot of times when I meet people, I could tell if they're going to be a good fit for me or if they're not going to be a good fit for me. I could feel their energy and if the body language and all that type of stuff.
Okay. So there's something operating that's giving you information that you're taking in, and do you pay attention to it?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So do you think women pay attention to these things more than men? You think women have a more of an evolved intuition? They're sort of like, If you ask a guy, yeah, I agree. It's certainly in my experience. And it's not that the intuition is not powerful in men. I just think they don't know what it is. It's kind of like there's information coming in, but they don't know how to pay attention to it. And in fact, they'll probably talk themselves out of it. So their brain will get involved saying like, and I just lost, there we go. I just lost the screen all of a sudden, but I'm back. I think I'm back. There you go.
Something you're there.
I'm there. So all of a sudden my emails went right in front. So I think with men, what happens is that there's this information coming in, but if it doesn't sort of fit with how they want things to roll out, they'll just completely ignore it. For example, somebody says to them, there's a good business opportunity. And they take a look at some of the numbers and they start analyzing like, yeah, this looks pretty good. Now, there might be something telling them like, I don't think this is the right for you. But they'll talk themselves out of ignoring that. They'll just sort of put their analyzer on, get into their masculine and go, yeah, I think we should do this thing. And then lo and behold, maybe something doesn't work out. And somebody says, did you ever feel like it was like, come to think that I did have kind of a feeling. Whereas women are more like, I don't like him. Something weird about that. It doesn't feel right. And you're like, what is it, baby? What is it, girl? You know, your wife, your partner. It's like, what is happening? Like, and we can't understand it as men. We sort of think like, no. Well, I don't know what that's, I don't like this house. It's something about this house doesn't feel, well, it's got everything you asked for, but I know I just don't like the feeling in this. So women are much more dialed into their intuition. And it's usually because there's a whole bunch of information coming in that's non-traditional. It's not just coming in through voice or sight, but there's a feeling. And you talked about it being energy. And it could be energy, it could be, that it's almost like their sixth sense is operating. Now, in business, often what drives people to start a business is a passion, is a vision, is like a feeling. Like, I think I really should do this. I'm really called to do this. There is a greater message. There's something's talking to them. I should start this business. I think this is right for me. And so the starting point is usually really based on this wonderful feeling. I'm excited. I'm thrilled. And often what happens as the business starts, there starts to be different competing inputs from their partner, from their husband, their accountant, the person that they hired. And sometimes those competing inputs start to talk them out of paying attention to why they went into business in the first place, the feeling they were looking for, what difference they wanted to make in other people's lives, all the good stuff that sort of it's kind of like the furnace, the fuel that kept them going. That's their passion. So when I'm talking about women in intuition, often I'm talking about giving them, supporting them, be confident and tuned into their intuition, because I really think a woman's intuition is sort of like their no. If they're connected to their intuition, they're probably going to make less mistakes in business, and they're certainly going to have a lot more fun. So that's when I think about the role that intuition plays in sort of driving that business forward. Does that make sense to you? You think you
Yes.
operate into, like, you're involved in so many different things. You must have some kind of evaluation process that says, I should do this or I shouldn't do that. And I bet you it's not like you don't sit down with a paper and go pros and cons. You probably have like a gut feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And has that
Exactly.
always been the case?
I think so. Yeah. That's how I started my travel business. That's how I started my gratitude business. Yeah, it was all from gut.
And has anybody ever tried to suggest to you that you're on the wrong path?
Oh, of course. Yeah,
And
people are good at that. People who aren't happy with what they're doing, they're definitely like to tear others down, but can't tear a Leo down much.
yeah. So one of the things I suggest that is really critical in being able to stay on course or in your lane or focused is for women entrepreneurs to be really clear about their vision,
Exactly.
to know exactly what they want to do, why they want to do it, how they want to feel, what difference they want to make. And if they know that, then they're able to sort of stay the course much easier, and they're less kind of influenced by other people's negativity or other people saying, great idea, but maybe you should do this.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing what that vision is and is critical in terms of being able to stay with your vision. Stay with your intuition. The other part is to be able to understand what your body's telling you. And this is a kind of a new concept. There's this whole concept of you've heard obviously emotional intelligence, but this is physical intelligence. It's that the body in its reaction generates certain chemicals in your body and your bloodstream, which lead to a certain kind of emotion. So knowing what your body is telling you is really important. And sometimes for men and women, but particularly women, we ignore the women will ignore the signals that they're getting from their body. So sometimes it's a matter of just stopping, looking at what you're doing at that moment and being really aware of how you're feeling, how you're breathing. How is there any tension in your body? Sometimes there's something going on, your body starts to react and we're not even aware of what that is. And sometimes we just have to stop and go, what's my body telling me?
Mhm.
And my daughter, who's a great women's coach, works a lot with body movement in terms of being able to have the body give you feedback on what's going on in your life, and sort of stepping away from having to analyze it by thinking things through. So your body will tell you tons of things, the way in which we just talked a little bit about the way in which you breathe, even the way you hold your body. Um, Working at the computer, sometimes we'll say, well, the ergonomics are not really set up, but I encourage people to think about what are they thinking when they're doing certain kinds of work. Sometimes it's not actually that the body is not aligned while they do that work. Sometimes it's that their thoughts are causing them to sort of be a certain way, fighting a deadline. You're cramped there, trying to get something out, hating to do something, and all of a sudden your body's in this position, and someone's saying like you're kind of in spasm, your neck's down, and your body's saying like, I don't really like this. There's something I don't want to do this. It's reacting. It's giving you feedback, but you're ignoring that later. It's like, man, my neck is sore. Yeah, well, you're sitting there like, I got to get this out. Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. Put the dog out. Put the dog out, please. And you've just taken your body into a certain position, and your body's saying, please, no. And it's giving you feedback. And if we pay attention to that feedback, we're much better able to make adjustments in sort of our emotional state. So that's what I'm thinking about. And I talk about intuition. For women, it's really about um, understanding what their body's telling them, having a vision, not discounting, and trusting themselves. I think this is the same with dating as it is with business. How many friends do you know that knew that the person that they were dating wasn't quite the right one, but they said they'd go out again, and then they went out again. The next thing they're dating, and then eventually they're not dating. And you could say, like, if I had asked you like right away what your gut was telling you, um, kind of didn't. Yeah, I kind of thought I would give it some time. He would sort of come around.
Mhm.
I saw things in him in that relationship, and I just felt that it would work. But they were sort of thinking that through. If you asked them what they really felt, it was like not the right one. Same in business. Is this the right business opportunity? Well, it looks good. The lease on that property is a good price. It's in the right location. How do you feel about it? Well, honestly, I don't really feel good about it. That's good enough. Your intuition is a good enough reason to step forward and do something. It's powerful. It's probably the purest thing we have. All the other things we kind of learn, as opposed to our gut tells you like, nah. So can you think of
How do
it?
you
This
think
is,
women lose sight on that?
I think, because they talk to their husbands. I'm sorry to say, people talk them out of it.
Wow.
And I think people talk them out of it because men, when they're in their masculine, are really looking at sort of piecing things together like building blocks. Things are linear. And so he may not know what's coming up for his wife, his partner, his business partner. And so he just sort of looks at it through kind of his analytical process and say, well, the data suggests we do this. Meanwhile, the woman is having this feel like, it doesn't feel right. It's not aligned with what I wanted to do. Men will sometimes look at the numbers and, or the masculine, I don't want to say it's necessarily a male, female, will look at it and go like, we should be promoting this product more because we make more money on it. And the woman will say, yeah, but that's my least favorite thing. That's the kind of thing that I'm not really that into. If anything, I'd rather not even offer that product or service. Yeah, but look, the margins are really high in that. So the motivation for that individual is to be profitable, and her motivation is to actually feel good and excited and positive about what she does.
Mhm.
I would suggest that the one that has the legs on it is the one that's going to, be more aligned with her and what she wants to do. And even if it's less profitable, it's probably more sustainable. It's probably got more to it, and she'll be more excited about it. Who wants to sell and promote something that they're not passionate about? So I think sometimes the external influence of the masculine, trying to make it fit, make it orderly, make it, streamline it, means that sometimes people think, oh, I guess that makes sense, so I'll just ignore my intuition. And it's like, well, actually, your intuition is making sense. It's telling you something. It's just as powerful as being analytical.
I think one thing that women in business have that actually is keeping them from succeeding is being in a codependent relationship, like asking permission from their partner. And yeah, you need to find a partner who supports you and you're not asking for permission. It's so crucial.
A partner who supports your ability to make critical decisions and saying, what are you thinking about this? Well, I think you make good decisions and I hear what you're saying. It makes sense to me. How do you feel about it? I'm going to do it. Go for it. Really? Well, yeah, I trust you. Oh, wow. As opposed to, what do you think? I want to do it, but what do you think? And then talking to 3 or 4 people. I can think of somebody that I know that had 3 or 4 logos.
Mhm.
And each time they wanted to change the logo for the business, it was because somebody suggested maybe the logo they had wasn't great. But at the end of the day, and then there'd be a logo developed and she'd be excited about it. And then someone else would say, I'm not sure I like that logo. And they're like, oh, yeah, right. It's like, what, like, what did you think about it when you first saw it? What did it feel? Felt good. But then somebody said, yeah, it's just not you. No, it's not me. Okay, I'll go for it. I'll get another version. So sometimes it's just that trust. If you trust yourself, then it's easier for other people to be supportive as well. If they feel you kind of waffling, they'll jump into rescue and start giving advice, thinking that their job now is to tell you what to do because you don't feel too sure about what you're doing. And that's a lot of responsibility to put on somebody, especially if they're not invested in the business. It's like I just sort of gave up a business decision to somebody who's like my sibling. And this is an important decision, but I guess they felt they needed to put some thought into it because I seem so hesitant or uncomfortable with making a decision.
Wow. Yeah, actually, there was a female business associate of mine at one point didn't like the fact that for my travel business, I had coach in there. I said, no, I really like it. She goes, I don't like it. You need to remove it. I'm like, no, I think I'm going to go with it. And guess what? I'm glad I stood my ground. And now I'm building this amazing brand because of it. And so people are used to that brand. And yeah, why do you think women do that to other women?
Why do you think women compete with other women so often? Do you know, it's funny. It's that they will be. It's really like it's kind of ironic that a woman won't compete with a man. In fact, she's like, why is this guy competing with me? I do not want to do what they're doing, and I hope they don't want to do what I'm doing. So it'll offend them that they're in, like that these moments of competition come up. But then when they're with another woman, they'll be competitive. It's like,
Yeah.
didn't you not really like being competitive? It's almost like when 2 women are together, the masculine comes out and they sort of jockey for position. And I've never really understood it. And women, and I'm old enough that I've probably heard it thousands of times. She seems jealous of me, or she's critical of me, or she's not supportive of me, and I don't really understand it. You must know women who say, I get along way better with men. I have more male friends than women friends.
Correct.
And it seems ironic because you would think that sort of sisterhood would create a place of support and safety and comfort. But for some reason, there is sort of a competitive or a judgment element that comes in. And that's not always the case, but it's not unusual. Would
Yeah,
that be
I
your
like the
experience?
sisterhood. I do like the sisterhood. I never been that type of businesswoman where I feel competitive. I actually like to help other women.
Hmm.
That's more of how I roll. But yeah, not everyone is the same. A lot of women do feel like they're in competition, which they shouldn't.
Do you think that that's because they're getting messages outside of that friendship with that other woman that maybe they're not good enough? They're feeling that they're being judged. And so that in that safe little place with their friendship, they assert themselves, but it's a way of compensating for something that may not be happening in their life. So they're not,
Insecurities, yeah, or
yeah,
codependency, yeah.
they're not feeling that they have their voice with their
Mhm.
partner or their family or their other businesses. And so they sort of over exaggerate or compensate when they're with somebody that they feel they can influence. Yeah, relationships are complex.
Exactly. Well, we're at the 20-minute mark. Do you want to go a few more minutes and talk about another topic related to this? On
Um, but I just give you three takeaways from this. That are the
Okay.
three things. First of all, number one, acknowledge that you have intuition, and your intuition is probably right. It's certainly your intuition, and it's developed and it's been growing and evolving. If your body and your intuition are telling yourself something, pay attention. I would say number two is make sure you work on having a vision, really clear vision,
Mhm.
so that when something feels off, chances are you're not in alignment with your vision. Like this, I don't know what's going on. What was your vision? What are you doing? Oh, I stepped off that path. Get yourself back on that path. And the third one is that know what your body is telling you. Interpret your body. So if your body is tense, it's not necessarily because you're sitting poorly or you're working hard. It could be there's a series of thoughts or some feelings that are happening, and there's a way in which you're reacting to your environment. This sort of your body's now going into a tense place, or you're distracted. So pay attention to the signals your body are giving you, and then interpret those and say, "Oh, it's probably my body's telling me something." Yeah, you probably heard that. There's a whole body of literature to suggest that if you're under chronic stress for years and years, that it can manifest itself in some illness, chronic
Mhm.
illness. And there's a saying that says your body always knows, and it eventually will tell you. People who work nonstop, hard, 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 and they've got some chronic health issues starting to emerge. That's their body's way. Like, if you're going to ignore what makes
Exactly.
sense, we're going to just give you something here to slow you down. That knee's going to go out. That back's going to go out. You're going to have some headaches or something that'll like, oh, I'm going to have to take some time. Yes, thank you very much. So pay attention to your body. So trust your intuition. Make sure you have a vision. Pay attention to your body.
One word, workout.
Yeah, that's very important.
It's so important. And I'm actually working, although I'm a travel and a food blogger, I am starting to kind of watch what I eat and exercise. And I feel really great now that I'm exercising more. And yeah, my body is sore after my
Hmm.
workout. I have to take a break. So I'm working out every other day. So I think that's just so crucial in everyday living. Especially, I have a mom that's in the convalescent home, and she didn't have very good life choices in her younger
Hmm.
years.
Hmm.
So that kind of like woke me up that, I don't want to be in that state when I'm 80 years
Hmm.
old. I want to be, here on video, or I want to be on vacation somewhere, enjoying my life and making the
Hmm.
most of that dash.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's
Keep
so
moving. Movement. It doesn't even have to look like arm curls and squats. It can be gardening. It can be climbing sets of
walking.
stairs. It can be going down the beach and going up and down the stairs a half dozen times because, just you can feel that on your heart. So it's all about staying active.
And you feel better about yourself when you're getting fit and when you're eating better.
Absolutely. Good
Yeah, but that's
feedback.
the hardest part, is the eating part, because I'm also an ambassador. Well, today I actually had as you know, as I mentioned earlier, I had the founder of National Day Calendar. And one of the things I like about National Day Calendar is all the big food days, like National Beer Day, Lobster Day, Taco Day, all this fun stuff.
Hmm.
So, but it's all in moderation. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah. Well, thank you so much. I'm actually going to put you in the green room, and I'm going to close out, and I'll see you there in just about 30 seconds. Thank
Okay,
you.
great. Pleasure to be here as usual.
Thank you. So there you go, guys. Make sure that you follow Kevin on Instagram. That's instagram.com/coach, KEVOC. And we'll see you here on Friday. We got some amazing guests. Make sure that you follow Ask Cindy Connector Live on all the social media platforms, and definitely subscribe on YouTube. This is Cindy, and make sure that you call 5 people a day to show gratitude. We'll see you on the next show.